Good morning, friends. Today we'll cover chapter 9 on our tutorial series on Apache Spark for Java developers. And in this chapter, we will cover Spark RDD tuples. I think tuples is a very important concept which is always present in Scala, other languages than Java. Like in Scala, it's present, in Python, it's present. Somehow, it's in Java, it's not present yet. So what tuples means is that a tuple is a value. It's a collection that contains a fixed number of elements, each with its own type. For example, in Java, we see that if we have got a list, it can be a list of integer or list of a custom object. But all the elements inside that list or a set in Java, that has to be of the same type. It cannot be of different type. For example, it cannot be one element is of a string type or another element is of a long or double or any other type. It's not possible in Java right now using the existing collections, say, for example, list or set. But in Scala, it's present. So we call it as tuples. And tuples are immutable, that it can be created only once. And it are very handy for returning multiple values from a method. So right now in Java, we achieve the same thing by creating a custom object, a POJO object, where we can have different type of like field members there as a string, long, double, whatever. And we can use that object to be returned. But if we had tuples like this, I mean, it would be very simpler, that we just create an immutable collection of elements, all having their own type. So in this chapter, we will learn about this, that how to use it in Spark RDD context. And it's actually present in Scala. So just for an example, a tuple with two elements can be created as follows. We create as wall person, and the first element is a string, and another element is say an integer. So this is always enclosed in like in this brackets. So this creates a tuple containing a string element as discussed and an int element. So this int is a specific scalar type for integer. The inferred type of person is this. So when we infer the type of this, the tuple is represented within this brackets as string and int. So this is the type of the tuple. In Scala, we can have tuples of type tuple1, tuple2, and tuple3, and so on. And there's an upper limit that we can have like 22 tuple elements. For example, so it means that for tuple 22, if we create tuple 22 instance, in that case, we can have 22 elements in that of all having their own type as a collection of elements. For each tuple n type, there where one, as we discussed that the tuple in Scala can be from 1 to 22. Scala defines a number of elements access methods. So there are a lot of methods which we can use to access or manipulate each type of element. But as we discussed that it's an immutable, we can only get have that element access methods. We cannot manipulate the tuple once it is created because it's immutable. And then, for example, here we have already seen that in Spark, we can use the Scala API because Spark itself is written in Scala. So that's why we can very easily use all those Scala methods which are there in Scala. So, for example, here once we have an RDD created by a file or whatever, then we can map it by you can call the map method. And for each line, for example, we can create a new tuple in which the first element is the line itself. It can be a string or whatever. And the next element could be an integer, which is the length of that line. And once we call this, it will return, because here we are mapping from a line, maybe a string of line, to a new tuple of tuple2, and this would be returned as this tuple2 Java RDD. So this is an example that how to create from an RDD, how we can create a tuple. So once we had this tuple, we can have a lot of methods on top of it, which we can use. So we will learn about all this when we actually go through the unit test cases. So enough of the theory now. Let's go into IntelliJ and write some unit test case to see tuples in action. So I already got my IntelliJ open, and just to save some time, I have created the basic RDD tuples test class in the package, and the new package I have created as chapter 9 RDD tuples. And first of all, at the test class level, I created a Spark config object and set the name as this RDD tuples test, and the master as local star. As local star, as we have discussed many times, that it means that the number of cores that I have available. I have got 4 CPU cores in my laptop, where I'm running this test case. It will use all those 4 local cores for all the nodes which will be created in Spark. So all this can be like worker node, and a driver node would be itself the laptop itself. So the first method is that we test tuples in Spark RDD. So let's write some unit test cases.